Hello and welcome to another edition of Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Olarinde. On the program this week, the gang violence in Haiti intensifies as residents flee the capital, Port-au-Prince. A family in Sudan is returning to their home as the military regains control of Omdurman. Plus, we attend the first ever Conjoined Twins Conference in Saudi Arabia. The gang violence in Haiti is heating up. Thousands of residents are escaping the capital, Port-au-Prince, as the gangs continue their rampage, seeking to force a transitional presidential council governing Haiti to step down.
Nadine Telmasa, a Haitian mother of 3, is struggling to cope with life in a Port-au-Prince shelter after being displaced twice due to gang violence. She relocated to the Office of Citizens Protection's displacement camps 2 weeks ago, following a surge of gang violence in Solino neighborhood, where she lived with her 3-month-old twin babies and 3-year-old son.
I have 3 children, my eldest son and twins. I used to live at Carrefour Pen, but given the current situation, I left the area to move to Solino. There, all my belongings were set on fire, and today I find myself at the Office of Citizen Protection Shelter, OPC.
Residents of Solino and Nazon central neighborhoods in Haiti's capital have fled their homes as gang activity expanded into one of the few remaining areas of the towns not already under gang control. Nadine says she could no longer keep her work due to instability.
I was a trader at Carrefour Pen, my neighborhood, before the situation deteriorated. Arriving in Solino, I could no longer keep my job due to the heavy gunfire and the instability.
This isn't the first time that Nadine has been displaced by violence plaguing Haiti. Before living in Solino, she resided in another community where she worked as a trader. However, increasing insecurity forced her to move to Solino, where shootings and instability prevented her from continuing her job.
At 2 a.m., a group of people said that armed bandits entered the area, Solino, and being at home, I noticed the fire nearby. I was there with my children, including 2 babies, wanting to escape the area. It was a really terrible day. Can you imagine, at 2 a.m., all alone, without anyone's help, because everyone is trying to escape for themselves?
Now, from within the OPC shelter, she finds herself at the mercy of others and says she sees no viable solution to her situation.
As usual in the mornings, we took a shower and then found an area in Solino to spend time by ourselves and carry out daily activities. At that time, life was better. But today, we're living at the mercy of others. If we don't have food, we risk staying hungry. And most of us here only have this food plate from the World Food Programme. There is no other way out. We cannot live well.
Haiti's security crisis has dramatically escalated as gangs fired at commercial planes. Flights into the country were suspended. The Prime Minister replaced, and armed gangs attacked parts of the capital that had previously been spared the worst of the violence. The United Nations attests to this as a UN humanitarian coordinator for Haiti, Eureka Richardson, told journalists from the UN headquarters via internet from Port-au-Prince that the situation in the country is escalating.
In Haiti, we have a situation of escalating violence. In fact, ever since coinciding actually with the installation of the new Prime Minister on the 11th of November, you will recall that the airport was closed down as a result of gangs shooting at incoming airplanes. And so that, of course, was a very critical moment for Haiti. But also to say that since then, the gangs have escalated in terms of violence. We have seen over the past few days really increased in terms of killings and lynching on part of the armed gangs. And you will also have seen the SG's expression of concern yesterday of the increasing violence, as we see gangs gaining actually territory within the capital.
According to Richardson, the police is struggling.
Police is struggling to respond. We salute their courage, and also, of course, the MSS, the multinational support mission that is present in Haiti, that is backing up the police. However, these efforts are not sufficient, and again, we reiterate and the SG's call to continue support the multinational support mission to be able to respond really to the critical situation on the ground.
She also calls for solidarity with Haiti.
We have very critical situations on the ground. We have increasing and very steep humanitarian needs. This is already people who live, many populations who live in a very, very tough living conditions. And the situation by day is deteriorating. And that means women who've been victims of sexual violence, but also children who are now again yet facing school closure, really need the assistance very urgently. And so again, our plea for solidarity with Haiti during this very dire moment.
There are calls from Haiti for the United Nations to consider turning a current international security mission in the Caribbean nation into a formal UN peacekeeping mission. Kenya's Presidential National Security Advisor, Monica Juma, says her nation backs the call. She told the UN Security Council meeting that Kenya, which is leading the current mission, believes a formal peacekeeping mission could bring more resources to confront an escalating gang conflict.
Strongly supports this appeal. We therefore call on the Council to once again rise to the occasion and demonstrate the unity of purpose that it has recently shown when it unanimously adopted 3 Haiti-related resolutions within a span of 3 months. A peacekeeping operation will avail greater resources to the mission in a predictable and sustainable manner. It will also provide a broader platform for collaboration and participation of more partners. We must emphasize, however, that the transition from MSS to a PKO must be carefully executed to avoid any gaps that could undermine the security situation on the ground.
The current mission has deployed just a fraction of troops pledged by a handful of countries and less than $100 million in its dedication fund, while gangs have continued to make gains. Thousands have been killed in the gang conflict in Haiti, and more than 700,000 have been internally displaced, escalating the already severe food insecurity that has left about 6,000 people in dire straits.
As the war in Sudan rages on, a family in Omdurman city have returned to their house to meet damage and destruction. Now that the Sudanese army have regained control of their city, the Ahmed family is looking to rebuild their life and home.
Al-Haji Ahmed and his family were among many who left their lives in Old Omdurman when the fighting between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, came close to home.
We were forced to leave after those people, the Rapid Support Forces, intensified their presence here. The army came and tried to remove them, and they spoke to the residents to evacuate the houses, claiming the area will become a combat zone. So we left. We first went to Tora and then decided to go to the countryside and headed to Atbara. We stayed there for 2 months.
The war erupted in April 2023 from a power struggle between the SAF and the RSF ahead of a planned transition to civilian rule. The RSF quickly took over most of the capital, Khartoum, and has now spread into at least half the country. But the military was able to regain control of some neighborhoods in Omdurman and Bari in recent months. This enabled Al-Haji Ahmed and his family return to their homes, albeit badly damaged, and not fully habitable. Ahmed and his family say they prefer to be at home than elsewhere.
The situation in Atbara was very difficult. We were forced to return to Tora and stayed there for about a year and 2 or 3 months. Finally, after the situation stabilized here in Old Omdurman, we returned here to our homes in August and found the houses destroyed.
Ahmed says they were able to carry out repairs on return to the house.
Thank God, and by His grace, we were able to carry out repairs. We found it best to stay in our house, whether it's your house or your sister's house. In the end, it's your home. That's why we found our house to be better to us than migrating anywhere else, to the countryside or any other place. Of course, we are modest people and cannot afford to go try to Egypt or to the UAE or anywhere else, except for our beloved Omdurman. Thank God.
His son, Ahmed, is looking to get more professional in his work as a photographer and design editor.
It's well known that rapid support forces always focus on stealing money, gold, and cars. So I was hoping to find my photography and design equipment. But unfortunately, some of it was stolen and the rest was burnt. Currently, I work in design and editing using my phone. God willing, in the future, I will try to gather new equipment, better and more professional.
More than 61,000 people are estimated to have died in Khartoum state during the first 14 months of Sudan's war, with evidence suggesting the toll from the devastating conflict is significantly higher than previously recorded, according to a recent report by researchers in Britain and Sudan. The UN says the conflict has driven 11 million people from their homes and unleashed the world's biggest hunger crisis. Nearly 25 million people, half of Sudan's population, need aid as famine has taken hold in at least one displacement camp.
Let's head now to the first ever conjoined twins conference in Saudi Arabia. The conference brings together scores of twins separated already by Saudi doctors and personnel. The kingdom reassures the world it has the capacity to ensure 100% success in separation rates. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani tells us more.
For the first time ever, there is a gathering of separated conjoined twins in one location. And it's all thanks to the Saudi government, which embarked on this journey 30 years ago through the Saudi Conjoined Twins program.
This should be the beginning of continuous collaborations between governments, between United Nations organizations, international NGOs, local and regional NGOs, that they should communicate with leading centers, whether it is like the Saudi National Program for Conjoined Twins, Great Ormond Hospital and others, and create what we are launching today, a website that will bring registry, research, advocacy, communication, and also awareness for families. This is the takeaway that we should agree on, and we should not forget the well-being and the rights and the ethics of conjoined twins.
Scores of twins from around the world successfully separated in Saudi hospitals free of charge bear testimony to the unreserved goodwill. For instance, these two Nigerian families who testify to the kingdom's intervention.
The way they are separated and feel happy and feel joy and feel happiness to the extent I can't describe how I feel. Wallah. But now
maybe you should give her the mic. So she can hold on. I will give you the mic. Say what you want to say.
Say khalas.
Say what you want to say.
They are triplet, two conjoined, one separate. So when we came to Saudi Arabia after investigation, they told us the spinal cord is connected. So the first separate the spinal cord for the surgery. So after they separate the spinal cord and separate them, all of them.
Two Nigerian conjoined twins successfully separated here in Saudi Arabia, and they've been here for a while. Many more still on the way. Saudi Arabia is gradually becoming a hub for medical innovation and says its doors are open to conjoined twins for separation from all over the world. At the first international conference on conjoined twins here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Welcome back to the program. The African Development Bank, AFDB, is celebrating its Diamond Jubilee. The bank says it's marking 60 years of driving social and economic transformation across the African continent. The Southern African Regional Celebration held in Johannesburg, South Africa.
It was indeed a time of reflection and celebration. The event highlighted the bank's significant contributions to Southern Africa's development and honor milestones in infrastructure, education, health, and sustainable development. The celebration also unveiled the bank's vision for the next decade, including initiatives in renewable energy across broader infrastructure and digital transformation.
We have approved a new 10-year strategy, and we will continue with the strategic vision of the high fives, because if we achieve the high fives, we will be able to achieve 90% of the SDGs.
As the African Development Bank reflects on 6 decades of progress with a focus on innovation and sustainability, the question remains, is the African continent making progress in addressing some of the economic disparities that are facing the continent?
It's a mixed bag of outcomes. There are certain African countries that are making good progress, like Ethiopia. There's a lot of good things that we can learn from each other in terms of economic development. And I do think that all the things that we've committed ourselves to, industrialization of the continent, we've got critical minerals here, lithium, which are quite important for the decarbonization of the world. We should be producing electric vehicles here, batteries here.
Your Excellency, if I hear you correctly, you're speaking about exogenous factors. Are you saying that we're dealing well with endogenous factors?
Well, you know, the problem that we have is that as we meet the exogenous factors, which creates instability, which deepens poverty, and, you know, dealing with all these shocks that come, you know, the climate shocks, you know, and all this, then, you know, obviously, you know, there will be marginalized segments of the society.
The Development Bank of Southern Africa took some time to send well wishes.
I want to see more impact, and I want to see the realization of the high fives that the African Development Bank, focuses on industrializing Africa. So an industrialized Africa, a powered Africa, a fed Africa, an integrated Africa.
Delegate says that the next chapter promises to bring even more transformative change to the region. We can only hope that this will not be another talk shop. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Simmons, Channels Television News.
And it's getting sticky and dirty in Uganda as soft ground wrestling, SGW, surges in popularity in the Mukono municipality. Otherwise known as mud wrestling, SGW was founded by a local resident, Daniel Bumbash, a quantity surveyor turned television presenter. Let's take a look.
It's mud, sweat and cheers in the Mukono municipality as promoters of the Uganda soft ground wrestling aim for global fame. Dozens of spectators watching and cheering as wrestlers compete in the local tournament. The organizer of Mukono's soft ground wrestling tournament, Daniel Mumbash, said that he was inspired to start training locals to wrestle after struggling to pursue his own dream of becoming a professional wrestler.
I've always wanted to be a professional wrestler, but because of lack of funding and because the game was not in the country, I was limited to resources and the money. So what I decided to do was to come up with a venture whereby if people could support me by translating and coming to the concert, attending, I thought I could start training wrestling since I had the nomenclature of it, and people could come.
Bumbash hopes that promoting the sport amongst the local communities will lead to Uganda becoming recognized as a hub for professional wrestling talent.
The future of these young boys and girls, I want a very major wrestling promotion to consider Uganda as a source of professional wrestlers. Just as it is in football, that people are looking at countries like Nigeria, Ghana, I want in the world of professional wrestling, every strong and big promotion to consider Uganda.
Originating as a form of sports entertainment, mud wrestling has a history that dates back to ancient times, involving to a popular spectacle at social events.
Very many professional wrestlers come here because of the uniqueness of the ring. Most of them have been to backyard wrestling, but they've never wrestled at the soft mat, the soft ground, the natural mat. So this is unique, and people have been experiencing it to come and check out how soft the ground is, and they really liked it.
For the many young Ugandans that tangle in the mud, they dream of becoming professional wrestlers. Many of the over 100 trainees don't have a clear idea of where wrestling might lead, though they hope to represent Uganda on the global stage. Soft Ground Wrestling is a Ugandan independent professional wrestling promotion and wrestling school based in Mukono, Kirangira, Mukono district. It was founded on March 16, 2023 by local resident Daniel Bumbash, a quantity surveyor turned television presenter. As of March 2024, the school trains over 180 students.
And finally on the program, in London, England, Santa School is in session ahead of the festive season in December. The Santas are learning more of perfecting their signature ho, ho, ho and bringing good cheer to everyone.
Father Christmas after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ho, ho, ho!
6 men dressed up as Father Christmas have begun training ahead of Christmas Eve in London as Santa School begins in full swing.
Skip to the ring. Sounds like a tagline.
Very nice. Let's start with a little bit. I've got 1 minute and then we've got to stop.
This is James Lovell, the chief Santa trainer for over 25 years and creative director at entertainment company Fiji Mermaid.
I have no factual evidence to support that, but why wouldn't that be the case? It's very important when a child goes to see Father Christmas that they meet who they believe is the real one. And it always is the real one when they meet Santa. When you're wearing a red suit, you are Father Christmas. So any child that goes, there's a massive build-up. Any child that goes to see Father Christmas has been excited about this for days, for weeks, maybe months. So it has to live up to their expectations, which is why from the moment a child walks into a grotto to meet Father Christmas, the experience is magical. So you need to look good, you need to sound good, you need to be kind, you need to be magical, you need to be jolly.
From perfecting their ho-ho-ho technique to learning all the reindeer names, the Santas are given all the tools and techniques they need to be the most authentic Father Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Lovell says, as a result of the many unpleasant things happening in the world, many people turn to Father Christmas to bring them a little bit of joy.
Donner, Dasher, Cupid, Vixen, Dancer, Prancer, Comet, Blitzen, and Rudolph.
This year, there are a lot of not very nice things going on in the world, and I think people are looking for Father Christmas to bring them a little bit of joy. And I found that my bookings are about 20% up this year, which one of the reasons must be down to the fact that people just need more jollity this year. They need more magic in their lives. That's what Santa brings, and that's what I'm helping him do.
Give him a ho-ho-ho! Ho-ho-ho! Give him a bigger ho-ho-ho! Ho-ho-ho!
And there are certain rules that Santas must follow, which many people do not know. It's never to ask the children what they want for Christmas. Lovell says you should already know as Santa.
Surprisingly, you shouldn't actually ask them what they want for Christmas, because most children have written you a letter. And if you're asking them what they want for Christmas, you're basically saying you haven't read their letter, which is rude. You read the letter and you know. So every child that comes in, I would say, "Ah, how lovely to see you again." Always again, because you saw them last year. "How lovely to see you again. And yes, now this year, I think..." And then you tell them what they want for Christmas.
There we are. Hello.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. I'm Layo Olarinde. Bye for now.